to another $3,000 to $5,000. So, 25K, not too bad if you got a truck that's pulling cold box beef, across the country for 5 years. You have a free semi.
Okay, Thunder, I got Sprecher going because I can trust Sprecher. Can we do it one more time and describe the program?
Sure.
Okay, so we're going to introduce the RED program to people like Stefan, who's going to listen to this, on exactly how to proceed and how to go about making money with distributing a product that's going to eliminate pollution on combustible engines. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen in. I think I've been put on hold. There is no pause on this, so I will ad-lib till Thunder.
I think he's ready.
Okay, Thunder, you there?
There you go. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, let's go again.
He's ready.
Take 2.
Say when.
Go.
So we're going to discuss here today the carbon allowance program, what it means to working with Palladium Labs and opening this to new potential prospects and companies that could utilize our services in an all-encompassing format, because our technology is far and beyond anything that has ever been assembled in the compliance for emission standards. Going back to the 2000 Kyoto Protocol, you're looking at different countries around the world that are trying to foresee costs and adjust those costs for technologies that would reduce emissions in a post combustion process. They are currently known as the T4 compliant engines. I'm going to give an example of a city known as Long Beach, California, where in the United States it is considered the poorest air quality in North America. Long Beach primarily has particulate matters that are coming, of course, from all the tugboats being in as a port city, of course, and then the heavy equipment used to take these containers off the boats and put them on flatbed semis that are waiting, to move the containers out of Long Beach port. That all has contributed to the poor quality of Long Beach, California. Well, there are only 800 trucking companies who are allowed in the city limits of Long Beach, California. They must be a T4 compliant motor that is replaced every 18 months. That brand new. That compliant engine also must come with a particulate matter trap and a filter, as well as DEF, which stands for diesel emissions fluid. Think of it like the water bong filter going through your emissions, filled with this oily substance that is going to use microbes to attack carbon and break it down. Now, all of these systems combined pale in comparison to what it is Palladium provides in the form of a pre-combustion process. Meaning, I've already made them each obsolete, including catalytic converters. The catalytic converter is a expensive process that basically is taking the exhaust to a higher temperature to cook even more impurities before it's then tossed out into our atmosphere. However, it cannot get them all. The catalytic converter, by the way, whose patent is owned by a governor of California, Jerry Brown, Jerry Brown's family owned it, and they mandated it, and became the focal blueprint on what the world, and the compliance on what the world would follow. Using Long Beach and Los Angeles as examples that the rest of the world would soon follow, and will follow, leaving them with the empirical data that they need. However, there's one piece of empirical data that was not included. Although the technology was available, it was imagined, or it was probability calculated that such cost would be in excess to get this type of reduction would cost in excess of $100,000, making those who are compliant eligible for allowance reward systems that they could then sell and sell to companies who need them. In the United States, we have companies, we have Detroit's large big three. We have a few motorcycle companies, Indian, Harley Davidson. That's only 5 companies I've named. And all 5 of those companies all are not compliant. What does this mean? Well, this simply means if you are not compliant, then you are not eligible for the allowance. That means you have to pay the carbon tax. So, they've calculated these carbon allowances on such extreme levels, not taking into consideration that someone could, manufacture something for, say, $100 and be eligible for $30,000 in carbon allowances. That was unfathomable to them when they wrote this, because that would require someone with a magic wand, Harry Potter. That's just wishful thinking. We would hope that someday that would happen, and God bless the person who does. But guess what? That person has done it. It has successfully done it for 16 seasons. I've sat back like a sniper in the weeds, watching this unfurl and get better and better and better. So if someone needs a potential sales that needs the compliant understanding of this, tell them this. I don't know. Depends on what your fine's going to be. Now, if they haven't came to you yet, give them a call and see when they have you scheduled to stop by and take a look at your books after they ask you this one simple question: have you done anything toward your emissions on any of the vehicles you currently own? If that answer is anything other than or no, they go straight to your books and they calculate what your fine will be. If your answer is, well, yes, and we are now compliant, well, what are they going to do? Sit and waste their time when they could be getting paid down the street? They're gonna back up out the door and leave you a card and say, well, if you need to get rid of some emissions, here, give me a call. If they're going to validate them, well, maybe you got their attention. Okay, they're going to bring in equipment and test. But the equipment that they test with is the same equipment we already tested with before we turned in the paperwork. We already have the answers to the final exam before the professor gave them to us. In some worlds, that's called cheating. In our world, it's called confirmation, that we've done our homework, and we know wholeheartedly that we have done everything right, and we have tested it first. And now here, the burden lies on your countries. The country's going to come out and test. You know what they're going to find? They have to give you a carbon allowance certificate. And they're going to ask you, the person who filled out this form, needs to have it signed by the manufacturer so that the compliant process will begin. We already have the information, such as the vehicle registration, the owner of the vehicle, everything we possibly need, and a picture of our product. A picture is all we need on our end, proving that it is our technology. 2 reasons. One, a hologram can never be counterfeited. So even if someone got a photo that looks similar to our technology and was trying to fake through one of our products, our bioresonant frequency scanners, before we turn in the technology, before we turn in the carbon allowances, will already determine if that technology is a live one or not, digitally, using quantum mechanics, again, as a unfair advantage each and every time. We have this thing buttoned up, sewed up, zipped up, and a big Raggedy Ann smile on this baby doll that's ready to be tossed any direction and still be able to endure everything thrown its way. Everything. We are the equivalent of turning in 10,000 applications because I have a giant mansion in Beverly Hills and I have 10,000 kids living there and I need some welfare money. Or the welfare agent is going, you look like a pretty cool guy, but, I just got a little trouble believing you got 10,000 kids, so if it's okay with you, we're going to come out and take a look at some of these kids. And they get out there and they start measuring these emissions, and they're going to find out that they're not going to measure 10,000. They're going to measure 20, 30 of them and go, oh, shit, you got them all right. You know what? This guy knows what he's doing. He's really packed this thing together. And now, we need to take into consideration that this is a fast-track process, because we don't need this guy coming in tomorrow. Oh, God, he came in tomorrow with another 20,000. And then he's going to have another 20 or 30,000 the day after, and maybe another 100 to 2 million the day after that. So I'm preparing them just like I am the rest of the world. I need to prepare. They all need to prepare for me because they're not ready for this. They never took me into consideration. So why is there any pretty pictures up? Why am I going to give away my position? I'm a sniper. Boom, boom, boom. I got my target. And they don't know where it's coming from. So what do we offer people? We offer them an awesome opportunity to open, close, and retain a residual of what should be going to me as a manufacturer is a rebate. What I've decided to do instead is give it to my customer base. I don't need it. I don't need the carbon allowance. I'm taking a small portion of it. I'm doing my thing. I'm handing it out as a commission, and I'm giving it back in the form of a rebate for anyone who's buying my product. So you pay $1,500 for a product and you get an $8,000 carbon allowance. That's a pretty cool thing to sell to anyone. Anyone.
And if they don't want to purchase it, we'll give it to them for free. But we are going to have the carbon allowance.
We'll keep the carbon allowance.
So they have no one has anything. They're going to save money in the fuel. Did we talk about the fuel?
What do they got to lose?
The savings.
Like your car not smelling? Yeah, that's kind of cool. Well, here, keep it. Cheers. Just take a picture of this here on your registration and stuff, and check off your waiver of carbon allowance. Thank you. Cheers. Enjoy. So back in the bank, because years from now, you're going to get, let's see, I'll put that 50-50 with the person. Yeah, you get $2,000 a year for everyone you give away free. Now, if that's your business, hey, that's cool. Your payment years from now, huge. Totally cool. I've considered it. That's all I do. It's not a bad way to go. I don't know that money. It's just it's crazy. It'd be foolish for me.
So the first step is to get the baseline from your would you consider your customer base?
You'll know if you're. Give me a history on the engine. Is that a T4 compliant engine? When was it built? See everything that you have to enter into the carbon allowance. See, I also need from the other manufacturers. I need to know what the bus is. I need to know what the engine is. I need to know all that's on the vehicle registration. That's what helps. I need to be able to verify that that's an original engine with the chassis. There's some things that we have on our end too that becomes a headache. It does, but we also need one thing though that we can't get on. We need the baseline. We need to know what your vehicle is blowing out.
And each country is going to have a different.
That's the hammer.
Each country is going to have a different carbon allowance program in place.
Well, it really depends on what you're doing for the carbon allowance. You can take. Let me give you an example. It's kind of scamish. But you can take camel crap and you can spread it out in the desert, and they get like a 50-cent carbon coupon for that. I mean, it's minuscule. But there's countries in the world that are doing this. And you're thinking, well, what's it doing? I don't know. They figured it's offsetting some gas and throwing it out. I don't know. But the point is, it qualifies. Now, it's a small amount. Now, let's take Elon Musk at Tesla Motors, for instance. He's got a little bit. He gets a little bit more for his carbon allowance because, well, here he has a vehicle that has a ZEV, zero emissions vehicle. The ZEVs are worth $1,000. So we know that we're getting a ZEV out of our car if we blow a zero, right? Yeah, I guess we do. All right, well, let's compare it to Elon Musk's prospect. Now, he's got a lithium-ion battery that's going to take about $1 million, $1.3 million, depending on who you ask, million years to get those lithium ions to stop decaying in our landfills. So that's a pretty, that's not a very green product, if you ask me. Now, our product, which is taking the atmospheric conditions, which is where oxygen is, it's dropped about 2.5% over the last 100 years. What could that be? Industrial revolution, perhaps? I would guess so, yes. Let's agree that probably car emissions and vehicle emissions would decrease our oxygen supply globally by 1% or 2%. It makes a lot of sense. Over 100 years of running engines, and if we had gas engines running 100 years in garages, we'd have 100 years of death. So yes, oxygen is apparently being depleted. But with our product, we are pulling the atmospheric particles into the air intake system of an engine and combining with the particles of the air in with the pre-combustion fuel treated by lithium ions is now interacting inside that piston to render those toxins inert. And they implode, causing the pollution in our sky to give us better gas mileage down the road, turning a waste into a fuel spent. This is what lithium does. This is something that a regular engine would not be able to do because the particular particle that is in our air is still going to pass through the combustion process uncooked. When it comes in contact with our technology, it passes through the combustion process and implodes, causing it an extension of the fuel. So for what Tesla Motors is doing for $1,000 in their carbon allowance, we are creating a scenario that has a air purification system. Because now the 5-gas analyzer on the back of our vehicles are indicating a higher oxygen content than we currently have in our atmosphere right now. This can be demonstrated and tested by taking a probe and holding it in the air for calibration on a 5-gas analyzer and determining the oxygen makeup of that probe just sitting and being held straight in the air. Then inserting that probe into a palladium charged engine and watching the oxygen level increase. This allows additional cost payments in carbon allowances because we are now addressing the issue of being a compliant engine, one that would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars over the lifetime of this engine by replacing them every year and a half. This is going to be global, where it's going to be only buses, the whole thing is to have mass transits only in the future, taking the ability of cars away from people because they cannot comply with our atmosphere is everyone's going to have to agree to. Because again, they did not take into consideration lithium, which we've been doing since 2003, and we've been watching all of these things unfurl globally, sitting back on, let them go. Wait till when these fines come out, these people are going to be banging on outside of our door as if I was Noah and it is raining. That's what is coming down. We already see it. We had the insight to design the technology based on global things that we saw coming down and need at the time. CNN didn't, tell us not to do an interview when we contacted them. I'm afraid our viewing audience wouldn't be interested in that type of story, but thank you for coming by. I'm sure your listening audience wouldn't like to hear, I'm quite sure they wouldn't like to hear about the solution to pollution. Let's talk more about some collusion, shall we? Keep up the good work, guys. Yay!
Well, that pretty much tells the story. And if there was not a carbon, let's just say for a minute that there isn't a carbon allowance payoff, the fact that they're going to see saving money in fuel alone is a reason for them to take the product. And we can prove that very easily.
It's an offset cost. It's an offset cost. Are you, if saving the environment is not important to you, but saving a few bucks at the pump is, well, here's a product that's going to pay off itself. But there's also a extended benefit feature that comes down in the form of replacing your engine someday. You see, what kills the combustion engine is called carbon. The end. Once carbon is so built up into an engine, it just is too dirty inside to continue to work. The end. Carbon kills the combustion engine. By continually dissolve and removal of all carbon in the engine and keeping it in pristine condition will extend the life of your engine far and beyond anything the manufacturers ever dreamed of, because they didn't have the ability to remove that much toxin at an affordable cost.
Right.
What I've done that the great manufacturer engineers of the world of mechanical engines have not been able to do is control the stoichiometric airflow ratio in a optimal burn. Why? Because the toxins that are inside gasoline, medium-like structured steel in the World Trade Center, do not burn or melt at a temperature of 3,000 degrees or below. Kind of like aircraft engines and gas when they slam into a building. It does not get hot enough to melt all of those toxins, so they come out in the form of uncooked hydrocarbons we see and smell in our skies today. If we could have done that, then there would never be any pollution in the sky. We would have never sat down and designed this technology, and we wouldn't be having this conversation because every car in the world would be, it would be getting like 200 miles to the gallon. Since they have failed, it is our responsibility and opportunity to fill those shoes that the great engineers, Mr. Mercedes, Mr. Mopar, Mr. Honda, could do effectively at a price everyone could afford. They delayed these for years. They gathered money. Every time you went to the pump since 1971, you realize what you've been doing? You've been adding to the Fort Knox pile known as carbon allowances. Thank you.
Okay, so
now, what's that big pile?
We're going to conclude now.
That big pile.
And everyone who likes what they heard, wants to get involved anywhere in the world, go to befantastictoday.com, and we've got some great videos that in front of your very eyes. You'll see these gas analyzers showing the baseline, and then after the technology, through a text message, decrease it to 0.00. You won't believe your eyes. It's true. We'd be happy to do tests for you anywhere in the world. We're going to be doing tests for people all around the world. So go to befantastictoday.com. And you can, the phone numbers are there. The emails are all there. Get involved. Help save the planet. Let's get this is a pollution-free planet. It's a great money-making opportunity if that's what you're into. And if you just want to help save the planet, Thunder and I are doing that. Thank you for listening, everybody, and be fantastic.